So I would like to formally welcome everybody to MicroWorkshop 2021, the first MicroWorkshop online that there has been. President Kevin Baugh, who is going to speak on explaining micronations and micronations in the media, two very important topics.
All right. Well, anyway, there we are. Well, good morning, afternoon, and evening, and night, everyone. I'd rather be in bed, but kidding. Anyway, I am President Kevin Baugh of the Republic of Molossia, and I've got a couple topics here. I don't have any prepared slides. Sorry about that. Death by PowerPoint kind of kills everyone. But to start off, explaining micronations. This is kind of preaching to the choir. I think most everyone who is attending and visiting today are micronationalists on some level or another. But micronation is a tiny, self-declared, well, usually tiny, self-declared nation. In the case of Molossia, we were founded quite some time ago in 1977, but I think micronations tend to rapidly, and I think that's an absolutely fantastic thing. Most micronations will have the usual trappings that a country would have, such as flag, national anthem, and so forth like that. But from there, they can take pretty much any format, I guess, up to the founder / creator's imagination. And I think I've seen a wide variety. When we meet up at MicroCon in every couple of years, well, it was supposed to be this year, but it didn't work out because of COVID. It's absolutely wonderful to meet up with micronationalists representing all of their various nations and the various ideas of what makes a country. And I think that is an essence of micronationalism. What makes a country? What is your idea as a micronationalist of what a country is? And it could be any number of different things. Molossia is a little more, I guess, conventional, as we have defined borders and so forth. We have like an actual physical location on the planet. Many micronations don't, and they're largely, I guess, online, for lack of a better description. And that's absolutely fine. Whatever works out best. Here in Molossia, we've always strived to make our micronation more physical. One of my mantras is doing real things with real people in real places. And because micronations are collections of people, I mean, nations are collections of people, usually under one flag, but sharing culture and so forth like that. We have tried to make Molossia as real as possible. I hate using that phrase, as real, because it implies that micronations are not real. And of course, they are very real to all of us micronationalists here. But I guess that's maybe how the world looks at us from the outside, micronationalists and micronations as real or not real. A question I frequently get from people who are, schools that that ping us all the time. Is this a real website? But I digress. Anyway, so here in Molossia, we have strive, I don't know, to make our nation as real as possible. Again, with the defined borders, with physical location on the planet, and intangible things, and of course, activities. One of my biggest things when it comes to micronations is do something with your country. I mean, it is fairly easy to establish a flag and a national anthem and a government and so forth. You gathered a few friends and so forth to create your nation, but take it to that next level and try to do something real with it, or things that are real with it, real activities, because that's what nations do. They are people doing things. And I would definitely advocate that with your nation, that you do just that. Do real things, do real activities. Try to emulate a established nation. I don't want to really use the term macronation, but an established nation as much as possible. And of course, again, it is whatever you would like to do with your nation. I'm just sort of offering up ideas or suggestions, if you will, for anyone who might be interested to as you develop your nations and build and grow them, and and do just do things. We're very fond of launching rockets here in Molossia, so we have a space program. We have our own Navy that's here in the desert because we're fond of doing things that are a little unusual, and so with the Navy we have some boats, we have some kayaks, and so we deploy the Navy once or twice a year over the border in the United States at Lake Tahoe usually, which is not too far from us because we don't actually have any standing water here in Molossia. But again, these are real activities, and I think they enhance what we do here in Molossia and make it a little more I don't know, interesting, if you will. Excuse me for a second here. Morning lemonade. All right. Now, so I think I've gone on enough about that. Talking about the media, Micronations and the media. Molossia has received a great deal of media attention. It's kind of a double-edged sword because then that generates more attention and that generates more attention. And rest assured, when the media visits Molossia, it can be rather a time-consuming process as they wander about our tiny nation for hours on end and take video and so forth. But it's good. It's good to get out there. It's good to have a presence out there in the world and have people know about your country. It can be a little, I guess, problematic. I guess younger nations don't really have their name out there, their name made just yet. But I mean, I always point back to that Molossia has been around for a very, very long time, and I think that's one reason why we media attention is because we have been around for such a long time, and also because we have a physical location to visit, someplace for the media to come, because they're going to want to. I mean, come here and film in Molossia, this tiny little postage stamp sized country within the state of Nevada, and so it gives them something tangible. And I mentioned that earlier when I was talking about explaining micronations, if you will. So it gives them something tangible, something to visit, and it can be an awful lot of fun. Were there other comments on the chat? I don't really know how this works. At any rate, so when it comes to the media, usually they will contact us in advance. Sometimes they'll contact us, a couple of months in advance. We have recently, over the past few years, tried to funnel visitors to, and that includes the media, to our set tourist dates. We receive a lot of tourists here in Molossia, and in fact, actually we get visitors 2-3 times a week, even during the winter months. They'll come swinging on by to see if they can take a tour of our nation and so forth like that. And so it was becoming a little overwhelming, all the people that wanted to come and visit our nation. And I'm not trying to brag or boast. I'm really just sort of stating the facts and how it is. And so we sort of had to narrow it down. I mean, most countries, their borders are open, if their borders are open, 24 hours a day. You can go visit Jamaica pretty much anytime you can get a flight there, that kind of thing. It's a little harder with a micronation when that micronation is also our home, and it's also very small. And so we had to limit how many times a year folks could visit, and that goes likewise for the media. And because the media visits can be quite time consuming, I think grueling is a good word. We also have instituted recently a media visa, and so when the media comes to visits us in the future, they're going to have to purchase a visa. It's a little mercenary, but it's really not for the money. It's really to calm things down a little bit with the continuous and time consuming visits of the media. But it is fun. It's fun to get ourselves out there when the news articles are published or on YouTube or whatever. Excuse me. It is an awful lot of fun. I mean, if you can, I don't know how to phrase this. If you can get some media attention, I recommend it. Go for it. And it's always nice to get your name out there as a nation. Let's see. I'm not sure what else. I've kind of rattled on here for quite a while. But that's about all I can think of right now, especially when talking to the media. So are we doing okay for audio and everything else? Because I keep getting a
Yep.
message from me about the internet. Okay. All right. Good deal. Good deal. I know, talk kind of a lot and kind of fast, but hopefully, hopefully that was good. I'm definitely willing to take questions. I mean, if that's a thing, I don't know if that's a thing here.
Absolutely. I do have one question for you. I think a lot of us might, a lot of people have asked me to ask you, how does one go about explaining a micronation to people who have never heard of it before, who might think it kind of comes off strangely, if that makes sense? How would someone
Okay,
properly explain
excellent. Thank you. Yes. Mm, excellent. Yes. Okay, so I actually get that question quite a bit. Uh, and the way I usually describe it is there are honestly, in my experience, two different types of people. There are people that get it and people that don't get it. The people that get it really don't have a problem with the idea of a micronation. They might need a little explaining as, little details. What are we doing here? What's happening here with, with your country and so forth like that. But they're going to at least feel the idea. Yeah, all right, that's cool. That's some country. And then you have the folks that don't get it. And that's about, half the population. And and they just can't really um, grasp what's going on. In fact, I've even had it to the point where it's invisible to them. At one time, many years ago, we were in a book called The Only Planet Guide to Micronations. And my son and I went to a local bookstore and we did like a book signing. And people would just walk in. I was dressed in uniform and we had the flag and he was on security. And so people just walk in and walk right on by as if this is something they see in bookstores almost every single day. And it occurred to me then that these folks just don't get it. And because they don't get it, the idea of having one's own country, it's just invisible to them. They literally tune it out. And you can't, then you have to sort of explain it down to, oh, we're just doing our own thing. We're having a good time. And you also have to be sometimes careful with, especially Americans, with the whole patriotism thing. And, do we hate America and all that, which of course we don't. But anyway, so those folks, you sort of have to kind of pad it a little bit and put it in terms that they might understand. Well, we kind of have our own country here, and then they will. You literally just say that, and then they'll classify it whatever way they can in their brains. And in fact, some folks, libertarians, think this is a big, we want less government type deal, and so forth like that. So I think it's just a matter of, I guess, knowing your audience when you're trying to explain having your own country and knowing where they're coming from, and then you can turn around and qualify it in a way that suits their, how they are thinking. And yeah, I think that's probably the best way to go about it. Really take your explanation as individually to whoever you are speaking to.
All right.
Hope that helped.
Yes, absolutely. I think that really, like you said, you get
Oh, there's a question over here in the chat. It says, has media attention ever been overwhelming? I wouldn't say that media attention has ever been infuriating. It's been irritating sometimes. Sometimes where they're going with their article, and sometimes the articles can be written lampooning micronations. And there was one that came out. When did that come out? Earlier this year? No, not this year. Earlier in 2020, I think it was, and it said something about fake nations, and of course none of us is very fond of that phrase. It's definitely not infuriating, but it's definitely annoying. But you can't really do anything about it. Once folks leave Molossia, they're going to build their article about our nation, whatever way I guess that they see fit. Sometimes media attention can be a little overwhelming, but I guess, and this is sort of whining, but it is for us is mostly just very time consuming, and so it can take like at least a day. And often when we have folks visit from the media, they're like, "Oh, we're going to be in Molossia for 3 days, and we're going to do such and such." It's like, no, you're not. You're not hanging out here for 3 days. I mean, like you and all, but let's try and narrow it down. And once they get to Molossia, they realize it's a very small country, and it really doesn't require 3 days. I mean, we're not talking, some gigantic nation like the U.S. or Russia. You can pretty much knock out our nation in a couple of hours. And so, time consuming, not really overwhelming, but I'm just reading one of the comments here. Time consuming, not really overwhelming, and not really infuriating, just sometimes annoying, depending on how they present their article. Now, another question came up, how not to be so snobbish. Again, I think it's important to read your audience, see who you're talking to. I mean, if you're like naturally a snobbish person, I guess that's just what you are, but well, not, but at any rate, but I mean, it's just a matter of, I'm doing this. We always explain it as this is an exploration of what makes a country. It is an extension of imagination and creativity. Molossia has been described as an art project, taken to the nth degree. I really like that description. It's kind of cool. So again, read your audience and know how who you're talking to, and how to explain it. Some folks just aren't going to get it, like I said earlier, and some folks will at least get it right away. They might need to get a little more, explanation of, the who's and what's and whys and all that. But just understand who you're talking to. Mom and dad might not understand, why are you starting your own nation? But mom and dad, as long as they don't feel, for lack of a better word, threatened, I don't mean physically threatened, but I mean you're going to do something weird, then they'll probably be okay. I don't know. I don't know that I could really give a script, because again, it really depends on who you're talking to. We appear in the Nevada Day Parade once a year. It's the celebration of the state of Nevada. It takes place in Carson City, about 35 miles west of here. And there's the vast majority of folks are pretty, in the audience, or watching the parade, are pretty drunk. But set those guys aside. There are occasionally a few hecklers, and a lot of folks that are just like, "Where's Molossia at?" I mean, that's kind of normal. I mean, we're pretty tiny, and we are on the map, but anyway. And for those folks, they're looking at us from the outside, and they really can't grasp the idea. What is it? What's a nation? And so it's just sort of we're just doing our own thing and having fun with this idea of what makes a country, and seeing where we can go with it. And at that point, you might just get nods. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Or I really have only run into, I think, maybe one or two people in all the years we've been doing this, that have ever kind of gotten belligerent in our faces about it, and so I mean, so that's pretty good. Again, I point that back to those folks that might get belligerent, don't get it, and so they just tune it out. It's not a thing. It's not dangerous to them. It's not interesting to them, so it's not anything to them. It's kind of invisible. And then you get the other folks who are like, "Yeah, hey, that's pretty cool." And so, of course, those are the folks that we like to have around. So, anyway, that's pretty much all I have. Back to you.
Certainly appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. It's the president of Molossia, Kevin Baugh. Thank you so much.
Absolutely welcome.
All right. So what we're going to do is at the end of this, what we'll do is we'll come back to any questions. If anyone has any additional questions for any of the previous speakers, that'll be just fine.